Hi guys, before we jump into today's episode, we want to talk about our fun giveaway we have tied to Haircare.
We have some amazing products to share with you guys from a huge variety of some really exciting brands.
Giveaway details can be found at our Instagram at GlowJob Podcast.
Welcome to GlowJob, the beauty podcast that's more than skin deep. We're the only podcast
To make you hotter and smarter. I feel like I want to talk about hair.
Okay.
All I want to talk about is hair ever since I got my perm.
It's been the topic of every conversation, but let's get into it.
So today we're going to talk about the global rise in the hair care industry. We'll explore recent cultural shifts and innovations that have given hair care its main character energy.
And we are going way beyond shampoo and conditioner because hair has seriously turned into a multi-billion-dollar segment.
Yeah, I mean, the global hair care market alone is projected to generate revenue of about $96.67 billion in 2025. And within that global growth, about $14 billion of that is accountable to the US alone.
So now let's get into what is actually driving all of this growth.
So I think there's a big cultural shift that's happened. And I like to call this sort of like the skinification of hair care, and particularly of the scalp itself.
Right. And I feel like people are treating their scalp kind of like an extension of the skin on their face, if that makes sense. Because just like how our skincare games used to just be kind of like wash, moisturize, and that's it. Now we have 15-step skincare routines. And that's kind of leaching over into hair care with hair serums, hair balms, hair masks.
Yeah, I think, even when we were in esthetician school, we had that one teacher. I don't know if you remember him, Mr. B. He would always say that the T-zone wasn't the traditional T-zone as we think of it as forehead, nose, chin. So he would say that the scalp was the top of the T and the bottom of the T was forehead, nose, chin. And I thought that was so interesting.
Okay, we were in the same class, but I don't remember any of that.
I leached onto that very quickly because I was like, wait, this is such a big shift in the way of thinking about skin, because your scalp is, it's part of your face.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And consumers are getting so much smarter about their own hair. Just like how people are able to identify whether it's their skin type or skin concerns, people are now paying more attention to hair type and hair concerns. Like, remember when everyone was doing those porosity hair tests back in the day?
I love those.
I always thought those were so stupid because it just didn't seem like science to me.
There is real science to that, but we'll talk about it later because I have very strong opinions about this.
Okay.
But also, I feel like in social media, there were a lot of things in social media that also catapulted this hair care shift. So I'm thinking of TikTok trends like hair cycling and like the emphasis on scalp health. It's gotten really, really viral on social media.
For sure. And I think what triggered all of this was actually the pandemic, because when that was happening and we had to stay inside all day, I think people were just looking at themselves more in the mirror and noticing things, but also people were getting more into hair health because since they weren't going out, they're not styling their hair as much. And they're like, okay, now is a time for me to actually do a hair mask or start, fixing my hair game a little bit.
And the past few years, this has always been a thing, but I think there has been definitely a rise in the celebrity hair care brands.
Oh, absolutely. It's crazy.
Yeah. I think first that comes to mind would be Jen Atkin with Way. They were acquired by Procter & Gamble in January of 2021. So like right in the middle of pandemic.
Yeah. And she got her start. I think I first heard about her because she was like the Kardashians hairstylist and built this huge following, just doing all of these super luxe, big curls and kind of that high glam.
There were a bunch of other celeb hair care brands that have launched recently. I think of Sacred by Beyonce.
Fenty Hair by Rihanna.
Mm-hmm. I mean, JVN, he disappeared for a second and then came back right after the whole Amorous bankruptcy. And there are so many other celebrity hair care brands like Beyonce, Sacred,
Fenty Hair, Rihanna,
JVN,
Lola V, which is Jennifer Aniston. Haven't heard too much about that one.
I know. And then, of course, Anomaly by Priyanka Chopra. another one I have not heard that much about.
For sure. And also, especially in like the textured hair care space, so many celebrity launches there. There's Pattern by Tracee Ellis Ross,
Flawless by Gabrielle Union,
TPH, Taraji P. Henson.
I love her, and Issa Rae.
So let's touch on the rise of innovation, because obviously so many celebrity brands, but it's not just like the celebrities building the buzz. The technology behind the products is also getting a lot better.
Yeah. And I think of the two main sort of science-backed hair care brands. So the first one that comes to mind is Olaplex and, of course, K18, which were two folks who actually were at Olaplex before and spun off.
Right. So I guess they have a lot of just background and experience with those more science-led ingredients.
Definitely. And, you know, it's interesting because my hairstylist, he's East Asian, he's Japanese. He always tells me that K18 is so full of silicones, which is really good for thick hair or damaged hair. But for East Asian hair, it's not as great because it weighs it down. We have finer strands. So again, K18 is good for high porosity hair, not so great for low porosity. And one of the things that I think make Olaplex and K18 stand out is this quote unquote bond building technology, right? And a lot of folks are kind of probably wondering, what the heck does that even mean?
I think it sounds really cool, but again, I don't know. The way that they explained it kind of made it sound like it was for everybody, right?
Yeah. And here's the thing is, it's not actually designed for all hair. To break it down, our hair is made out of keratin. So it's like a type of protein. And we have 3 different types of bonds in our hair strands. So there are disulfide, which determines whether your hair is curly or straight. There are hydrogen bonds. And then there's also salt bonds. And so bond builders essentially, quote unquote, repair these bonds, specifically the disulfide bonds. And I like to say, as an analogy, it's not so much that it repairs it, because I think that sounds so like, wow, amazing. It's more like it fixes it. Kind of like how if you have a crack in your sink, you know, when the basin of your sink connects to the counter, if there's a crack there and you might caulk it to like fix that seal, that's kind of what a bond builder does. It fixes it.
That was kind of my impression of it, because I don't know, once a hair is split, right? Like that damage occurs, you cannot glue it back together. Totally. There has to be some kind of material in place there.
Exactly.
Like caulk.
Mm-hmm. So basically, bond builders are really made for damaged hair. So, you know, think of hair that's been overly heat styled, hair that's been bleached or dyed a bunch. Then bond builders are great. But if you have virgin hair, these are not made for you. They will just weigh you down.
I don't know. I feel like I have virgin hair, but it's definitely damaged. Like I have dryness, split ends. That's damaged.
Totally. But I think in terms of when it comes to describing when they are saying damaged hair, they mean treated hair. So it's like hair that's been bleached, hair that's been dyed very much, hair that has been, overly heat styled. Like if you're constantly curling your hair or straightening your hair every single day, that's what causes real damage. The damage you have is more just like environmental, like, it's dry. We live in a dry climate. Split ends, you can cut split ends off. But the second I cut your split end off, this hair, it's virgin, it's healthy. This is all healthy. You just have dry ends.
So literally my entire life, Sasa, I have always thought that I have damaged hair. Do I not?
You don't. You do not have textbook damaged hair. You have virgin hair that has never been dyed. Yes, we can cut your end. Maybe your ends are dry and that's it. But once you cut that, this is all healthy hair.
But why am I always buying damaged hair care
because
products?
The marketing is working.
Oh my God. Are you serious?
Yes.
Wait, so my mind is still blown right now because literally my entire life, I've always reached for extreme damage repair, damaged hair mask, damaged shampoo and conditioner. You're saying that those are not for me and that I am an uneducated consumer?
So, okay. I'll take one step back. You can still use those hair masks and those products, but you should not be using them weekly like someone who has real quote unquote damaged hair, because it's going to weigh your hair down.
Oh my God. No, are you kidding me? Okay. So you are literally blowing my mind right now. I use a hair mask every time I wash my hair.
What the?
Because my hair is dry.
No.
What?
Okay. Sidebar. It's probably the water that's also drying out your hair, which is why I feel like water filters are becoming such a thing right now. But you do not use a hair mask every
Am I
time.
stupid? No, Sasa, I'm serious. Am I stupid?
You're not stupid.
So I always thought that the hair mask is for dry hair. My ends are dry. So I literally do not use conditioner. I only put a hair mask in.
Do you find that your hair doesn't have much volume?
I always thought I didn't have volume because it's long. And so my hairdresser would say like, oh, your hair is weighted down because it's long.
I think it's long and you are weighing it down with very heavy conditioners.
Oh my God.
It's okay. You know what? You're learning. We are all learning.
I know, but I'm literally that like 30-something-year-old virgin, right? Like virgin hair,
yeah.
Don't know shit about shit. This is crazy. Who do you even go to learn about these types of things?
Honestly, the only reason why I learned so much about hair is because I have put my hair through the ringer since I was a teenager. I have dyed my hair every color under the sun. When I was 19 to 20, I had silver hair. Long ass, it was silver down to my butt. Then I went through purple, blue, pink, green, every color you can imagine. I've done brown, I've done blonde, and then I've cut my hair from a bob, had it all the way to my butt. So I just feel like I know a lot about just the process because I've damaged it so much.
That makes sense because literally, again, to the virgin hair, I've had the same freaking hairstyle since second grade.
See,
it's just long, middle part, undyed. Mm-hmm. And I get the same haircut every time. And I always tell them, cut as little off as possible or else I will cry. And that is just what I bring to my hairdresser every time.
Yeah. You know, having done all the things to my hair.
This is why I know nothing.
No, it makes sense. It truly does. Then I stopped dyeing my hair kind of like in my early to mid 20s. And then I regrew everything back. So now it's all virgin hair again. Thank God, because now it's healthy and it's great. And then I felt comfortable enough to do a perm because my hairdresser was like, now your hair is too healthy. That's why you have no volume. The only way you can get volume, he suggested a digital perm. And it's been nice.
So we're like the two opposite sides of the hair spectrum, like virgin and...
I've been through everything.
So I know Olaplex is all the rage, but they've still definitely had a lot of drama over the years.
Ooh, I feel so bad for them. Like they had this big class action lawsuit that got filed in 2023. It did not help them at all.
I threw out my bottle because I just heard that it was causing hair loss.
Yes. So the lawsuit alleges that their products caused, quote unquote, hair breakage, scalp irritation, bald patches, hair loss, open sores, and blisters? What the fuck?
It just sounded so crazy because I've been using it for a while and it was fine. But as soon as I read those, I'm just like, I just tossed it. Didn't even give it a second chance. Didn't even check the batch number.
So they named certain products in their lawsuit. They basically named every single product that was on the market at the time. So the number 0, intensive bond building treatment. Number 3, hair perfector. Number 4, shampoo. Number 5, conditioner. Number 6, bond smoother. Number 7, bonding oil. And number 9, bond protection.
And I hear it kind of all boiled down to just one ingredient that was causing some of these issues.
So they named 2 ingredients in the suit. And this is where I find very interesting. They first name Liliol, which is a fragrance compound. And in the suit, they say that it is, quote unquote, dangerous and irritating. The lawsuit also names panthenol as a potential irritating ingredient. And they said that the panthenol and the Liliol both allegedly cause hair and scalp damage, which, okay, since when did panthenol cause hair loss? It is literally vitamin B.
It's one of the best skincare ingredients. It would make sense. But I can kind of see the fragrance because fragrance can cause irritation.
Totally. So panthenol also is extremely safe and it's got a very low risk for dermatitis. So it's interesting that's even in here. But for the Liliol, now, I understand what they're trying to say because in the EU, it was actually banned in March of 2022 because there was a in-lab test that showed that Liliol has potential reproductive toxicity at high doses, but in rats.
But that's also not the same as causing irritation and open sores. That's just affecting fertility.
Correct. And I think there's a couple things going on here. So Olaplex was marketed to folks who have damaged hair. So their hair already has gone through the ringer, which means your scalp is probably already sensitized. So I think what might be happening here is more correlation, not causation, right? If you are already damaging your hair frequently and you have a sensitive scalp and you are starting to use a product that's for damaged hair, and then all of a sudden, oh no, I started experiencing hair loss. Which one caused it? Did your over bleaching cause this or did your shampoo cause this?
That's so fair. And I think also there was talk that Olaplex wasn't necessarily instructing consumers on how to best use the products. And so if you have bleached hair, maybe you'll leave that hair mask in an extra hour or 2. Maybe you'll sleep in it overnight. That's a thing.
Yep. To give you some of the like financial repercussions of this lawsuit. So Olaplex IPO'd in 2021. And when that IPO happened, it was one of the biggest beauty IPOs ever. Craziness. So they IPO'd at about $15 billion market cap. So that share price was around $21. After this lawsuit was filed in 2023, their share price dropped to $2 to $3 a share, and they lost 70% of their original IPO value.
That must be heartbreaking.
Yes.
Because it's also not a proven claim that they're dealing with. It's just speak and rumor, but they are addressing it. And I think what they did is they went and removed Liliol from all of their formulas as a response to this.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. But the case is still ongoing in California, and nothing has been certified yet. So it means it's still in the early procedural phases. Olaplex has filed motions to dismiss, but the case still hasn't been thrown out.
That is wild. But, I still see them on Sephora. I still see them being sold. They're still launching new products. So I think that they're definitely not, stopping anything anytime soon.
Yeah, exactly.
And another brand that experienced a similar kind of lawsuit that really did a lot of damage was Mielle Organics.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so this is a hair care brand that was founded in 2014 by a registered nurse, Monique Rodriguez, and they went absolutely viral for this kind of rosemary hair growth oil. I think it was Alex Earl who absolutely blew it up on TikTok, but there was even controversy about that because
why?
It was a Black-owned brand designed for Black hair types. And people were just kind of saying is she appropriating my hair product kind of talk?
Okay.
I don't know. Hair, I understand that it might not have been for her kind of hair, like designed for her kind of hair. But regardless, the product still went majorly viral. So much so that they gained enough traction to get acquired again by PG&E in 2023.
Wow.
And it was right after that all of the lawsuits started. There were several class action lawsuits, similarly to Olaplex, but people were saying that they were experiencing hair loss, scalp irritation, all these kind of other adverse side effects.
Interesting. I remember when we were at BeautyCon, they were there, and then you literally grabbed my arm. You're like, no, don't grab those samples. You're going to lose your hair if you use them. And I was like, what?
I know. I mean, I guess I'm kind of like that. I get spooked really easily because the Olaplex claims came out, tossed it all. Mielle, I had their rosemary oil and I just threw it out immediately.
See, it's so damaging, these class action lawsuits. And sometimes, honestly, these are just cash grabs. I know some of these firms, they will find anything that they can grab at to just file a lawsuit and make a buck.
For sure. So Mielle is still around, Olaplex is still around, and it is so crazy how many huge players there are in the game right now. So let's break it down into the two biggest places where people get their hair care products.
So let's talk about Sephora, the golden empire of all things beauty. And the first one I think of is Way. So of course, Jen Atkins, celebrity hair care line, shampoos, conditioners, they even have a line for fine hair.
They even have a shampoo for dogs.
I know, it's so cute. And Way was majority acquired by Procter & Gamble back in January of 2021. Pretty successful.
Definitely. Other of Sephora's biggest hair care players are Kerastase, a really nice kind of gorgeous luxury line, and Vegamour, which is all about hair growth.
Yes. Big trend in hair care right now.
For sure.
And then Amica, which apparently is Sephora's #1 seller. I only really know them through their dry shampoo, but do you use them?
I think they have so many really fun products, like for all different hair types. So I've been using one of their leave-in serums and it's amazing.
Nice. Okay. And then a few more. Moroccan oil, which feels like a blast from the past. I don't know who is still using this brand, but it's so popular. And Oribe.
So Oribe was one of my absolute favorite things because it was in Barry's boot camp.
Oh, yes.
So way back in the day, I was like a huge Barry's girl. And that was definitely the best part of sweating it out for 45 minutes.
Totally. So they were launched in 2008 and then they were acquired by Cow Corporation in 2017. And it's widely reported that they were bought for about $400 million. It was never confirmed by Cow, but that's what was reported in WWD.
That is crazy.
I know.
Big bucks. And now let's break it down into Amazon. So a little more budget friendly than Sephora, but some of their best sellers. The first one, I had actually never heard of this brand, but it's called Nizoral and it's an anti-dandruff product.
Yes. So I once had my dermatologist tell me that I had a little bit of dandruff and she was saying it's from an overgrowth of yeast. And she recommended this brand instead of the prescription form because she said it's pretty much just as effective.
Okay.
Yeah.
Love that.
And your favorite, Miel Organics, very popular.
Yeah, I guess that class action lawsuit didn't slow them down at all.
Yeah.
But we also have Nutrafol as being the best-selling hair growth supplement on Amazon.
Briogeo, another big one.
Which is also on Sephora.
Yes. And of course, Color Wow, another big one, also at Sephora.
Yeah. So I think even though those two brands are at Sephora, they didn't make Sephora's top performing hair care brands, but they are in Amazon's.
Yeah.
But regardless, I've never actually tried a Color Wow product.
Really?
Have you?
I have. So I find Color Wow very interesting because it's founded by Gail Federici, and she's the co-founder of John Frieda. And John Frieda was acquired for buku bucks back in the day. And so, she's like a hair care veteran.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So all I know about Color Wow is everything from Chris Appleton.
Oh, yeah.
Who I'm obsessed with. He's so amazing and he seems so nice. But regardless, I'm just still kind of intimidated to use it because I know that he is the pro of all pros. And I just don't really trust my hairstyling abilities to use it properly.
The Dream Coat is actually really easy to use. I've used it in my hair before. You just literally spray it and blow dry. And it's supposed to help prevent frizz.
Okay.
Yeah. I before didn't have that much frizzy hair with straight hair, but now perm has given me all the frizz. So I think I'm going to put it back in the rotation again.
Yeah, you're going to have to learn so much.
Oh my God, I know.
Exciting. So we went over some of the best sellers at Sephora, at Amazon, but there's also this whole realm of cool girl hair care brands.
Yes, I can think of a few. I'm thinking Crown Affair.
Oh, yeah.
I really love their stuff. I use their air texturizing mousse and it's great. It's fabulous.
I've never tried their products, but whenever I look at their branding or their marketing, you just feel this kind of sense of a girl who's confident in her hair, knows what she's doing, but also is just cool girl.
Definitely.
Cool girl makeup, cool girl fashion, Crown Affair for sure.
So it was launched in 2021 by Diana Cohen, who was an early Into the Gloss/Glossier employee. And she recently raised $5 million in a Series A round that closed in 2022.
Okay. So with that ITG Glossier background, that's why the cool girl runs over because that makes so much sense. Mm-hmm. Another one is Jisoo. This one was launched in 2015 by a Dutch influencer, Nagin Mishrali, and she's so fabulous.
So I don't know a lot about her, but I swear to God, every other ad I get is for this brand.
I don't use the hair care products, but I use a hair care perfume and it just smells good. But to me, it's kind of like a Summer Fridays vibe, right? It evokes this kind of emotion and feeling, but I think she does a lot with scent. And I think that's really what kind of brings people, turns them into repeat customers.
Yeah. I've read their About Me before, and it says that they use honey from her family's bee garden. They're trying to evoke something here, clearly.
Yeah, I feel like every girl is an aspiring chicken egg collector or beekeeper. So I guess she's tapping into that.
Every city girl wants to live at a farm. Have you ever worked at a farm? Working on a farm is hard damn work.
Or smelled a farm?
Yes. Oh God. I used to have to muck stalls for horses. That shit it's not that bad, but it smells. You gotta It's shit.
And the last one for our kind of cool girl hair care line is Day. And it's so funny because I've used their products. They're supposed to be a beautiful, clean, sustainable line, which makes sense because I bought their dry shampoo that comes in a pump. Ooh. A powder pump rather than an aerosol can. So they really are being more sustainable and just kind of converting to that because aerosol is so bad for the environment.
Wait, does it work?
I think it does because it kind of poofs the powder out in such a lovely way. So it's still that kind of aerosol spray, but just again, no nasty aerosol. But kind of funny story about this one. I don't know why, but I always thought that this brand was owned by Asian people.
Wait, why?
It's because the name Day, there's
it does sound kind of Korean.
Yeah, and it says it's DAE.
Yeah.
And one of my favorite fashion brands that makes the best fleece sweaters ever is Sunday School. And that's by this guy named Day. So Sunday is spelled SUNDAE.
Got it. Okay, I could see that.
But it's this girl from Arizona and she looks really lovely.
So cute. Now let's talk about some newer players in the game. I'm thinking of Shacks and Kicks. They're actually going to be in our giveaway.
So exciting. And I love what they're doing. They are kind of bringing this new approach to how they're creating and formulating products, even doing things like waterless shampoos, which is just wild.
And they also just got into Sephora this year, which is cool.
Congrats.
Yes. Ceremonia, they launched in 2020. It's a Latinx brand. catering to more textured hair. Very cool. And MEJ, the hair clip brand, now they're doing hair care and they launched in Sephora too.
Yeah. So this one I'd even put in like my cool girl hair care category.
Also, I mean, this isn't new, but there's definitely been a rise in the personalization in hair care. So I'm thinking of Prose, which was founded by two folks from L'Oreal, and also Function of Beauty. It's interesting, and I get why you would want to personalize your hair care. But from what I've heard from folks at these brands, I don't know if it's doing that great.
I don't know. I just kind of think it's a load of crap. Like, to be honest, when you go onto this website and they give you this like really long quiz, and it does feel personal. I went through the whole thing and it does feel really personal. But at the end of the day, they're just going to recommend you probably like one of 4 shampoos, one of 4 conditioners, etc. So it's almost just like really, really good marketing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't really know. I think they try and give you the idea that they have like scientists in the lab that are custom mixing formulas for you, but they're not.
There has been a huge growth in appliances.
Yes. So I think some of my favorite appliances are definitely from Dyson with their whole air wrap. I am the biggest Dyson fan.
Do you have one?
I have so many of their products.
Yeah.
I have not one, but 2 air wraps.
2. Why?
Because it came out in a pretty color. So I got a second one.
They must love you.
I have, who buys the second color? Me. It's me. I have one of their blow dryers. I have one of their air purifiers. I have 2 different vacuums. I like Dyson.
You're a Dyson girl.
For sure. Okay.
So I have one of those Shark blow dryers, which is like the dupe of the Dyson air dryer. And, you know, it's a little louder, but it works really well. And it's also a vacuum company and I like it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think it looks cute. I think I like how both of the companies are kind of changing the way that you think of what a hairdryer should do.
Yes, I agree. And then of course, there's the rise of like the home scalp analyzers. L'Oreal just did like an AI powered scalp scanner. And I also see these more in like salons and stuff. They're touting like, we can do a scalp analysis for you.
So I'm actually going to go to one.
Oh my God, really?
I am so excited. Yes, I will update you on the experience, but I want the whole thing, like the camera, the washing. I don't even know what to expect other than what I've seen on like the TikTok videos, but I can't wait.
I want to do head spa. Speaking of washing.
Yeah.
I got to book that.
And other appliance growths are kind of like laser treatments, similar to LED red light therapy, but for the scalp.
And like I mentioned before, water filters. I find this one really interesting. And the more I read about the water system in the United States and sort of like how old the pipes are that are transporting water from the source to like our homes, it's making me realize water filters are so damn important because you are washing your hair. If you're not using good water, doesn't matter what effing products you're using, like it's just not going to be that great.
For sure. And I think we should do a total deep dive on just water in the States because it's not your hair, it's your body, right? Your skin. And I think so much skin irritation can just come from the water that you're using.
Exactly. And then there's also, of course, hair supplement. We talked a little bit about this earlier, but Nutrafol, Vegamore, Array, these are all like big on the market right now.
Yeah. So, I've actually been using Nutrafol for the past few months. And I think one of my biggest hair concerns has always been thinning. And so this is supposed to be a really good option for that. But to be honest, I really wanted to just go straight for minoxidil.
Really?
Yeah. Because that's what works. Like that shit does work. But it is really bad for female fertility, which is why I opted for Nutrafol because it is a more natural alternative to it. But, it takes a long time to actually see results. They recommend at least 6 months of recommended usage. Yeah. So it's going to take time. But so far, I'm not going to stop because I need to take it for at least 6 months.
So it's funny that you mentioned minoxidil because finasteride has been in the news a lot lately about how there's been such a rise in the overprescription of it and how it's has damaging side effects for men.
It's absolutely insane, all of the nasty side effects that are coming from it. But finasteride is the most prescribed men's hair loss supplement. And basically all of these men, it's changing their hormones. So they're experiencing all these crazy side effects like loss of sexual desire, changes to their genitals, like not only shrinkage, but changing the shape, anxiety. The Wall Street Journal piece was really, really like crazy in terms of how bad the side effects are. But I think we can do a whole segment just on that. I think another trend that we're starting to see is all of these pro grade products, professional products finally entering consumer markets.
Yeah, the founder of eSalon, which was a big pro hair care company, has just started Yuv. I think it's Yuv, YUV. And it's aiming to bridge like the professional grade product with the at-home experience.
Okay. So, I mean, I think we see this all the time with like professional grade skincare brands, whether it's like a Dermalogica or Lemieux or all of these brands that sell to both pros and consumers, right?
I think Yuv is a little bit different in that it's actually doing sort of like a custom hair dye. So you can like at home create your own custom hair, which, when you're at the salon, your stylist is mixing it for you, but you like input little numbers that go boop, 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 boop. I want this shade of brown, and you get bing.
That's actually pretty cool because I feel like consumers today love the idea of customization.
Oh yeah, who doesn't? They want to feel special. And then, in terms of transaction news, Wella Company, which was spun off from Coty, is now backed by KKR. And KKR has been investing heavily in the professional hair care market. So Coty sold over 60% of its professional and retail hair care brands to KKR, brands like Wella, Clairol, OPI, and GHD in November of 2020.
So I actually just went to a professional hair care conference in New York, and it was crazy. First of all, the worst name for a conference ever. So it was called the International Beauty Show, aka IBS.
Terrible.
So all around the conference, I just these huge flags saying IBS 2025. But, it was a beauty show. But the biggest thing to me was that everything was hair.
Wow.
More hair than makeup. They had a completely separate section for skincare. But in the beauty, I wanted to see like makeup, etc. But it was all hair.
Interesting.
I actually bought a wig.
I cannot wait to see this wig.
Yes, it's really good. I'll tell you more about it later, but yeah.
We're talking about all of these hair care brands, but what do you use, Julia?
So I think first and foremost, I always thought that my hair concerns were that I have damaged hair.
We've learned. Today we've learned a lot.
I still I need to talk to somebody about this, but I guess I don't have damaged hair.
I can be your hair therapist. Don't
worry. Thank you. But I guess what I do have, my main concerns are kind of like thinning and dryness. And I think they kind of all are tied to me having longer hair because again, long hair is older. So therefore it's a little bit drier. And also since it's heavier, maybe it relates to a little bit more kind of like thinning, but I've never had that thick Asian luscious hair. What about you? What are your concerns?
My hair concerns? I would say honest to God, minus the times I would dye my hair, I've never really had hair concerns until I moved to Los Angeles and the water I experienced was so drying.
It's terrible.
It's terrible. I've never had more issues in my life.
And it's not just drying, but you also get more buildup in LA.
Yes, I hate it. But in terms of things that I use in my hair, so I would say for the longest time, all I ever used was Tsubaki shampoo and conditioner.
The Japanese stuff.
It's literally, it's owned by Shiseido, but it's their drugstore brand. And I use the volumizing, it's the premium volumizing shampoo and conditioner. Used it since college. That's all I ever use. But recently I switched to a new brand called Owe. And they're an Italian brand and I am obsessed. It's not very big in the US yet, but wonderful, gorgeous products. I use their curly bath shampoo and conditioner. And part of the reason why I switched was that I needed lighter conditioners and lighter products for my curls. Heavier products will just weigh your curls down and make them less defined. So been obsessed with that. Use the Crown Affair texturizing mousse, air texturizing mousse. I use K18 hair oil probably once or twice a week, after I actually wash my hair, since now I'm washing it less. And yeah, that's what I use basically.
Okay. So I feel like with the products that I use for my hair, I'm just really, really bad at clearly identifying my hair type and therefore finding products that I like. I've never been loyal to a hair product ever, which is so funny because I am fiercely loyal to my skincare and makeup products. But I think it's maybe because I don't know what hair type I have.
You're using the wrong ones. It's okay. It's okay.
But I know I mentioned Nutrafol. Lately I've been getting into Korean hair care.
Oh, cool.
Because in my mind, I'm like, Korean, same. So I just switched. No, because I don't know what to do. Yeah. So I literally thought same.
There you go.
So I've been using this brand called Dr. for Hair. It's from Costco. But I don't know. It smells nice. But it's funny enough. I feel like the things, since I don't really know about the products, I do have a lot of things that I use in my hair care routine.
Okay.
So one of them is like I switched to a hair towel after I wash.
Okay. Yeah.
That I've been liking. I also use a silk bonnet when I sleep. So I am the ugliest person when I go to bed every night. It is clearly amazing that my husband still loves me, but like I wear a silk bonnet, I wear a mouth guard, I look like a snail, like just completely like slugged, and like a thick sweater because he likes to sleep at like 67, 69 degrees. So I wear like a big bulky sweater every night. But
Stop.
Yeah, so that's my sleep routine. But anyways, I also use heatless curls. I've been getting more into that. So also that makes me terrifying at nighttime. But certain things I do use, and this kind of bridges the gap between hair and makeup, but I use hair powders along my hairline. Okay. And I think, as I mentioned, one of my concerns is thinning. So it's kind of like an eyeshadow, and I just brush it on whenever I do a slick back bun. And it just makes my hair look thicker. I like it.
Cool. Okay. How often do you wash your hair?
So I don't think anyone should listen to anything I have to say about. No, I'm serious. Like I don't know shit. But I don't wash it until it looks gross. It's kind of my thing. So I don't know, every 2 to 3 days.
Okay. So before my perm, and also maybe it was because the water was different in New York, I washed my hair almost every single day and I had no problems with it. I know people would like look at me like I'm psycho, but truly also,
are you supposed to do that?
It depends on your hair type. So for me, and I've talked to my hairstylist about this because I run a lot and I swim. And if you swim, you gotta wash your hair. Like chlorine is just so bad.
That's so true.
I have to wash it out. If I don't wash my hair after I swim, I'm damaging my hair.
And you smell like chlorine all the time.
Exactly. But since I've gotten my hair permed, I have reduced that greatly. I probably wash my hair 3 to 4 times a week. And then the days I'm saying shampoo 3 to 4 times a week, probably do at least 2 days of just water on my like lighter days where I'm not like working out heavily. And then 1 day of actually like 1 or 2 days of actually like nothing, no water and no shampoo.
Okay.
But it's hard when you work out, you know?
Yeah. So I don't know. I have so many stupid questions about hair because like I read the same articles about like how often you should wash your hair, etc. So when you don't wash your hair, you still get it wet?
Sometimes I do. It depends on what I'm trying to style my hair like. So sometimes I'll put my hair in a hair cap and just like it's totally dry. Sometimes I will just wash my hair with just water. Because if I had product before, it kind of gets it off. And then I reapply product because I need my curls to be a little more bouncy.
I don't think I've ever done that once in my whole life.
Really?
Just
water?
Just wet my hair without using product.
A lot of people.
Is that a thing that I also don't know about?
It is. It's part of the no poo movement. So I know a lot of girls who like will not use shampoo, and there's debatable conversations about that. But if you're doing no poo, so no shampoo, people will often just wash their hair with water.
I don't know. Every time anyone tells me that they're in the no poo movement, I'm like, yeah, I know. I can tell.
Yeah, I can smell it.
I can smell it. Like I'm not
a fan of it either. I still think you need to shampoo your hair. Otherwise it's nasty. But this is just what people do.
Okay. So now let's just break down some trends that we've been seeing in the hair care space.
Yeah, I feel like, brands that traditionally focused on skincare are now entering hair care.
I see that everywhere.
Yeah. I'm thinking Drunk Elephant, The Ordinary,
Fenty, Sol de Janeiro,
random, and also even Augustinus Bader. Like that is like luxury skincare, and now they're doing hair.
I mean, I guess it makes sense because they have a super loyal market for sure. But other trends that we've been seeing are way more just attention and focus on the scalp. We were talking about this earlier, but I think that people are now realizing that like the scalp is part of your skincare.
Biotech ingredients. So I feel like the industry is exploring like a lot of like lab grown alternatives to natural ingredients like keratin, collagen. I feel like it's trying to become more sustainable and efficient.
So I'm interested to see how this will actually play out because I don't know that much about hair. I know about skin, not about hair, but I always grew up thinking that your hair is dead and therefore there's not as much you can do to it in terms of like how you apply, like let's say a growth factor to your skin for your skincare routine.
Which is why I think scalp care will be so important because if we're treating at the root and not just the cuticle.
So my problem with that, because I guess I have so many problems, but that is just such a long game to me because your hair grows like pretty slowly.
But skincare is also a long game, you could argue it both ways.
Fair. Yeah. But other trends that I think we're going to be seeing a lot more of include customization and ways that companies are going to tie in AI.
Oh, yeah.
So customization, but not the same way that like Pros does those quizzes.
Sustainability. I feel like there's such a big push towards eco-friendly products. I mean, things from like solid shampoo to refillable bottles, waterless formulas, like you mentioned.
I think that's super important. And even like, I hate aerosols. So again, that is going to be another thing that I think we see a lot more of.
Before we wrap up, what are your hot takes on the hair care industry?
I'm going to say again, I don't think you should listen to anything I have to say, but here's a hot take that I do have. One thing that I hate about any type of hair care commercial is that they are always having like the before and after photos. The before and after photos drive me crazy because every after photo always includes styled hair. And to me, like, I know my hair is styled today, but these are like heatless curls. So that to me is very low effort styling. But I am not the type of person who's going to want to apply a lot of heat to my hair. So I never really know what a product's actually going to do.
Yeah.
Because after photos, it's not just styled, but they're also smiling, wearing makeup, all these things.
Full glam. You know, we talked a little bit about bond builders earlier. And I think my biggest hot take is that I think bond builders are a little overrated because they're not for everyone. You know, they're pushed for everyone, but they're not going to work on every single type of hair. I feel like it's almost like hyaluronic acid. Like, remember when like suddenly every brand was throwing hyaluronic acid everywhere? That is bond building.
This ties it back to that test we were talking about in the beginning of the episode, the hair porosity test, where essentially you're supposed to pluck out a piece of hair and put it in a bowl of water and see if it floats or sinks.
Exactly. So what it's supposed to tell you if you have high, normal, or low porosity hair. So if you have a piece of hair and it sinks right away to the bottom of the cup of water or bowl of water, that means you have high porosity hair, i.e. your hair is absorbing moisture very quickly.
And sinks. Okay.
Which generally means also that like, even though you absorb it quickly, your hair gets dry quickly because it absorbs so quickly and then it doesn't seal
right, because it's not locking it in.
Exactly.
Because what I always think of is the shingles analogy for your hair. So that just means there's more space between the shingles to either soak up or dry out. Correct?
Yep. And then low porosity hair would float at that top for a long time before it actually sinks, meaning that the cuticle is a little bit tighter. So the shingles are tighter and it's harder for you to absorb product, which is probably why, like when you're using those bond building products, it feels like you have a film on your hair.
So that is totally me. I've done that test before and my hair floats for days. So, but also, is it better to have high porosity or low porosity hair? Like what's the goal?
Normal, quote unquote, normal is the goal, which means it floats for a little while, but then eventually sinks.
Okay. Because I think for me, so when I'm thinking and how you're telling me how I'm using all the wrong products, it's because I'm using it for the wrong porosity type.
Yes.
So the products aren't penetrating.
Correct. I think most people think you have to only worry about like hair type as in curly, straight. And then if you have curls, what grade of curls you have, whether it's like 2B, C, or like 3A, 3B, 3C.
Or even the super, super, super curly hair, which is in the 4s.
Which is exactly the 4s. But what I think, and this is my, not that hot of a take, but my opinion is porosity is more important than your hair, quote unquote, type. It's like how for astrology girls, if you're into this, knowing your hair type, like curly, straight, or what grade of curl you are, is just like knowing your general zodiac. Like, I know I'm a Capricorn. I know that you are
an Aquarius.
Exactly. But if you know your porosity, you know your birth chart.
So those are your rising, your moon signs.
Yes.
And I guess this also makes sense because I don't know any of those either. I only know that I'm an Aquarius.
So funny.
There's this thing going around on the internet, like a warning to men who are like straight men. Anyway, so that goes, hey guys, if a girl asks you what time you were born or the location you were born, she's not the one, man.
That's so funny. Thanks so much for listening. A new episode drops every Wednesday morning.
And don't forget to share some love, follow, subscribe, leave us a comment, and share this episode with a friend who needs a glow up.
And let's be friends. You can follow us on Instagram and TikTok at GlowJob Podcast. You can follow Julia at SkinSift and myself, Sasa, at Sasa No Skin.
If you have any questions, email us at hello@glowjobpodcast.com or shoot us a DM on Instagram.
We'll see you guys next week.
Bye.